today's video, we are going to be discussing the bank versus the bond originator. You know, when you go for a home loan application, many people want to know, so what's the difference if I go via a bond originator or if I go directly to the bank? Is it useful for me? How would I get the best services? What is it that would work for me? So in today's video, what we're going to be covering is what actually is a home loan application process, so that for those of you that don't know, you'll get your teeth stuck into that. The second component is, so what exactly does the bond originator do? How do they work? And is it better to use a bond originator or go directly into the bank? So my name is Genevieve Stafford-Jack and welcome to my channel. Today I am blessed to have a bond originator with me, somebody that I've worked alongside and that I certainly know is passionate about bond origination and seeing people win. Her name is Anna. So I gracefully call her Anna. So I'd like to say, Anna, welcome. Please introduce yourself and share with everybody, who you are and your company name and where you are currently at the moment.
Thank you, Gina. I'll call you Gina.
That's all good.
And I'm Motaung. I'm the founder and the managing director of Batupilo Home Loans, which is a bond origination company. Yes, bond origination is a very foreign term to most people, but we will get to that. How I got to be where I am now is I used to work at a home loan department as a business development manager for a financial institution. And when I left the bank, that's when I decided to start my own company as a bond originator.
Fantastic stuff. And tell us, what has your company been up to these days before we get into the nitty-gritties of the video?
Ooh, wonderful stuff, wonderful. Basically what we do is we submit home loan applications on behalf of our customers to all the banks. And we made it to the top 10 in Gauteng for the first quarter. It was quite interesting given the lockdown and everything that we still did it. We made it into the top 10. So yes, and I would like to say thank you very much to all our customers out there who have been supporting us for the time that we've been in business.
Fantastic stuff. And for those of you that are interested in a lot more about hearing about Anna's company being in the top 10 bond origination companies, I will put all of her details in the description below so that you don't have to faff around anywhere to say, please, can I have her details? Her details will be below. So getting into today's video, Anna, can you give us a brief description of what the home loan application process actually looks like?
Okay, home loan is, when we do a home loan application, basically what it means is that one would have identified the property that they want to purchase, and they would have signed an offer to purchase with the estate agent. Then you approach your bond originator, whereby we will fill in a home loan application for you. We assist you in the filling in a home loan application. You submit all the supporting documents, which will be your payslips and your bank statements, your copy of ID, and the offer to purchase. And the bond originator will submit applications on your behalf. So we have a system that is linked to all the banks. And as soon as we have captured your application on the system, it goes to all the banks automatically at the same time, instead of you going from each bank to another. So basically, we take out the administration of the home loan application from you.
That is fantastic. You know, I think to myself, now that I know about bond origination, had I known this way back when I bought my first apartment, I bought a 2-bed, 1-bath here in Sophia Town in Johannesburg. And I remember I worked at the bank. So in my genius little mind, after I signed the offer to purchase, I'd gone straight to my bank. And my bank had taken a very, very long time. And then I got frustrated. And then I thought to myself, okay, cool, I'm going to do the application myself to another bank. And so I had done this laborious exercise of filling in multiple applications. And eventually Nedbank, instead of my own bank, provided me the services of a really good interest rate and whatnot. And the one thing I was sad about, being a bank employee, I was told, go to school. When you go to school, get good grades. When you're done with school, get a good job. And if you work in the bank, You'll get staff discount rates. You'll get all of these lovely things. Now, I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but I'm just saying I didn't go through that experience. And I think the sad part is my bank offered me the highest interest rates amongst everybody else. And yet everybody else said, well, your things are in good standing. And I just figured maybe because I was fighting with them so much. So what I'd like to know for the next step, Anna, when it comes to bond origination, how do you actually work? Because there's some people that are so afraid of a bond originator, they think the bond originator is going to ask them for money, so they don't actually want to go to the bond originator.
No, yes, like I said, bond origination is foreign to most people. We don't charge for our service at all. And the reason being, when we submit an application to the bank and it's successful, it's registered into the purchaser's name, the bank pays us commission. In that commission, the commission is not included in your bond application, it's not included anyway. So we have an agreement with the banks to say they will pay us commission as a source of business. So basically the banks look at us as external source of business for them. You can imagine if you come to me and I submit your application to bank B when you actually bank with bank A. Now I'm giving bank B the business that they wouldn't normally have, isn't it? So for
Absolutely.
and now and that's the reason why they look at us as external source of business.
That is fantastic to hear. So I'm so glad that in this bank versus the bond origination route, that you are here to clarify that for everybody, because again, this is a question that comes up amongst my students, amongst my future students, and also amongst the tribe. I like to call us on YouTube the YouTube tribe. We're not just subscribers. We're here to learn. We're here to be educated. And we're really just here to grow our understanding within property, in the property market, within the entrepreneur space, as well as the different life hacks that are there. So I know this is going to be a biased question, but I'm going to ask it anyway. So do you think, Anna, is it better to go with the bond originator, or is it better to go with the bank? And for any answer that you give, can you give us an explanation? Why do you think it's better for whichever one that you choose?
It's always an individual choice to say who do you want to go with. You can always go with the bank or the bond originator. So it's neither or. It's always it will be the same. The only difference is that with a bond originator, we do all the banks at the same time. Whereas when you go to your bank, it will be only in that bank. And by going strictly to your bank alone, you won't know what other banks would have offered. Because most of the time, what we've picked up is that, like you said, your bank won't necessarily give you the best interest rate as you thought. And the reason for that is because you have all your accounts and everything with them. So they know your strengths and your weaknesses. Whereas with the other banks, they don't have much of your record other than the bank statement in front of them. So since you're a new client and they also want new business, they'll always give better interest rate. So yeah, go with the bond originator.
I would think so too. Let me tell you my top tip of why, after my last experience of signing an offer to purchase, why I had chosen from then to date to go through a bond originator. You know why? They negotiate the best deal. So for me, that is my open secret, that the bond originator negotiates the best deal, and they certainly know that in the grand scheme of life, applying through all these different banks, what's going to come back for you. So that's my top tip for everybody wanting to say, but what would you do, Gina? I definitely would go with the bond originator based on the fact they negotiate the best deal.
That's true. That's very true. On the other hand, the frustrations that you'd normally come across, we handle that for you. So by the time I come to you, I would have motivated. And if sometimes there's a deadline or anything, I'll motivate even before I come to you and make sure that I have a better understanding of why the application is the way it is. The other thing is that remember, even in the bank, now, when you walk into a bank to do a home loan application, you'll come across a consultant or your private banker. But this home loan on its own is another division that is completely outside the bank itself. So it's a division on its own, and the consultant in a branch or your business, your personal banker will communicate with the home loan department the same way as we did. So it's not like they're all sitting together and they can see each other. The means of communication is still the same as with us. So what we normally do is that we'll get an application, it comes back, and the feedback will just say, maybe declined, criteria not met, banking criteria not met. Now I have to go back and ask, when you say the application doesn't meet the criteria, exactly what are you referring to? And they have to take you through that, and you try to see, okay, what can we do differently there so that it meets the criteria? So most of the time, there's a lot of work that goes into the application before it goes through, unless it's a straightforward deal. But some of the transactions, especially for the self-employed, we have to sit down, and before I submit that application, I have to have a background, financial background of the directors of the company itself, the financial statements of both personnel and the company. And as soon as you have a deal or an application that is well motivated, most of the time the credit managers don't even have to struggle, because they just read through your motivation, and if it makes sense and you have pointed all the corners to them, they just approve. And that's the nice thing about it. Because
this is fantastic.
home loan is our main business, and that's what we do. So when we get that deal, we fight for it, because we have, that's the only way of us getting income out of it. We'll make sure that every deal that lands on our table is successful. And after it's successful, then you go for the best rate, and you're all smiling at the end of the day.
Slam dunk that baby. No, that is absolutely fantastic. You actually touched on something. So let's throw in a bonus point before we close off the video today. You touched on a big question many of the property investors and aspiring property investors that actually listen to my channel, this is one of the questions that they ask. You know, Jen, I have got a company. How do I apply to get a bond on my company? So what I'd like you to do, just clarify for us very quickly on what would you need from a company perspective to actually apply for a home loan?
If the company is already trading, the banks require 2 years financial statements, and where the year ended and it's more than 6 months since the year ended, then we need management report to go with their financial statements. Then we'll also need a letter from the accountant stating that the company is solvent and trading or not non-trading, depending on the status of the company. We also need a resolution from the directors that where they had a resolution to say the company can buy the property. We also need the 6 months business statements of the company, 3 months personal statement of the directors, proof of income or a letter from the accountant confirming the director's income, or if the directors are getting salary from the company. But in the case where the director is employed somewhere else, then you also need bank income, what is that, pay slips, proof of income from their employer. In the case of a new company, because it doesn't have financial statements, then we need only the registration documents of the company, all the other documents other than the financial statements, because you don't have financial statements. Correct. But then the affiliation of that company will be on the director's personal income then. So what it means is that the director must qualify for the property, even though it will be in the name of the company, and then they will sign surety for the company.
Awesome stuff. I love it. You see, I love it. I absolutely love it. Well, in today's video, as we've covered, the bank versus the bond originator, doing your home loan application. So now you can see what's the difference. And the difference is one person, which is the bond originator, will at a click of a button apply to all the banks, whereas going directly to one bank will give you one answer. So it's not a matter of who's better or who's not better. It's just a matter of your time. Is your time worth it? How have you spent your time? So in today's video, we really just covered a home loan application. What does a bond originator do? How do they work? Is it better to go with the bond originator or the bank? And as Anna gracefully answered, it really is up to you. Would you like an array of answers, or would you just like one simple answer? What is your truth? and how would you like to bring your truth home? And if getting started in property investing is something that really just tickles your fancy, I want you to click on top here so that you can see of all the videos that we've got in the getting started folder, what is it that you are after?